Coach, what's it going to be like going against your old team this week?
Well, hey, it's exciting. Exciting to come back to Philly. Know the environment is going to be electric. Just with how things are there, certainly with Carson coming back. So looking forward to that. It'll be a good challenge, for our team. And then personally, obviously, a special experience there for 2 years. But really, this is a kind of situation where you got to have the maturity to say, hey, this is unique and special in some ways. And then at the same time, it's just the next opponent. It's just the next game.
Frank, Doug said that you guys had kept in touch throughout the summer, and you were asking him some questions about how to run certain things in training camp and stuff like that. What were some of the things that he helped you out with?
Yeah, no, I actually kept in touch with him quite a bit, just kind of firming up a lot of everything, just administrative scheduling things, just details on, I remember when Doug first got there, him telling me it seemed like a large part of his time spent was on scheduling and stuff like that, especially that first year. So it made a lot of sense for me to, pick his brain, and he was gracious enough to help me.
Hey, Frank, how much of an advantage do you think it is for you that you were here and you were very familiar with the offense? How much of an advantage do you think it is for you, the Colts, going into this game?
Yeah, I really don't think it's as much of an advantage as some people might think because, it's not. I didn't spend hours with our defense trying to explain every little nuance of the offense and what Coach Peterson and Coach Groh and Coach Stoutland and what those guys are trying and the staff is trying to do. So, I talked about some of the players. I talked a little bit about a few philosophical things. But it's just my experience over and over again being in these situations is that it's usually overplayed. You give a couple nuggets, and then you go play ball.
Frank, you got to see from both vantage points Carson Wentz's rehab, obviously up until you left in February, and then now when he's finally been cleared. What have you made of it from looking, up close and then now from afar?
Well, just like anything he's going to do, he's going to excel at it. I was encouraged and pleased just to see how fast the progress he made, just kind of watching from afar, and I did keep in touch with Carson, over the process a little bit as well, just checking in and just seeing how things were going for him personally. Yeah, excited for him. It's good for him, good for the Eagles, good for the NFL. This guy's a star in the league. It's good. It's good for everybody.
Did you allow yourself to even just send him a text when you found out he was cleared, on a personal level?
Without a doubt. We exchanged text messages, and like you said, it really the whole off season, the times that he and I have communicated, it's all just been personal. I think we developed a pretty close friendship while we were there working together, and so the ongoing communication, any ongoing communication I've had with him is really just on a personal level.
Hey, Frank, from a football perspective, you saw Carson's development from year 1 to year 2. What's the next step there? What do you expect year 3 to look like for him?
Just continuing to make incremental improvements in every area of your game. That's what every player is trying to do. But, he obviously has a very high ceiling, and his starting point. I think the thing that everybody there knew, when Doug and Howie and all of us who were involved in getting a quality like that, I think the key was we all know that where he was starting from was so much higher. It had nothing to do with the whole North Dakota State thing, and just saw this guy as a superstar in this league, and he's certainly proven that to be true.
And so, is there another gear for him? Last year was obviously an MVP caliber level, like you said a year ago. Is there another gear for him?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You got to keep getting better, and you can always become better in your game. A better passer. Always make improvements on accuracy. Any quarterback that I've ever been around is always trying to improve their accuracy and their consistency, and working on certain things in their game, and really honing their awareness on situational football. Those are all things that every player can grow in every year.
Frank, given how much Carson, studies and looks at film and all that, when did it become apparent to you guys that this is a quarterback who's going to want input on the offense who's actually going to bring ideas to the coaching staff and have those conversations?
Yeah, we knew that before he even got there. I mean, just talking to him and about his college career, and we had spent enough time with him, before the draft to understand that. And I've been around enough quarterbacks that are like that to know, hey, he's going to be involved. He has a strong opinion, and he's going to voice it.
Frank, as far as your quarterback, Andrew Luck, can you draw any parallels between when he came back this season from his injury and what Carson may face as he begins his journey back into the league here?
I mean, I think there are some parallels. And I think they're just parallels as far as the guys as players. I mean, they're both incredibly dynamic players, physically dominant at their position, elite in their leadership ability, elite intelligence. It's just rare for a guy to have all those attributes, and I think they both do. And when Carson came out, I mean, that was the one guy who I thought, Andrew was the one guy who I thought that there was some parallels there. So it's just interesting now in their journeys. They both have had to overcome a serious injury, and that I think makes great players better. It stinks going through it, but in the long run, it makes them better.
Frank, take us back to last February and after the Super Bowl and how it came to be with the job offer.
Yeah, it just all happened kind of fast. Enjoyed the celebration after the game, come back Monday, and then, really, I think I got the call Tuesday night from Chris Ballard, and then got the call and, was excited to come in and interview and see what happened.
Frank, you know what it's like to be starter as a backup and then all of a sudden to lose that job? What do you think Nick's going through right now?
You know what? I mean, it's, Nick's a competitor, and Nick has done an unbelievable job. I mean, just you couldn't do a much better job than he's done, in Carson's absence. So the competitor side of him is, no doubt disappointed that, he won't get to play. But, everyone knows Nick is a unique person as well as a unique player and has the maturity to understand the role that he's playing on the team. And there's no one who does that better.
Frank, what are your thoughts on Darius Leonard, who was, came in as a rookie now and had 18 tackles the last game against the Skins?
Yeah, the guy's he's a star, man. The guy's long, he's fast, he's smart, he's got high football character. He's everything you want in a young linebacker, and he fits our scheme very well. He's kind of the focal point in our defensive scheme. It's really, there's a couple really key positions, and his position is one of them. And so he's bringing great leadership on and off the field, even at a young age.
Frank, as you guys were developing the scheme here with West Coast concepts and spread and RPOs, how did you kind of label it, or how did you sort of define your philosophy with all those different concepts involved?
I mean, I think Doug labeled it kind of like a hybrid West Coast philosophy. The roots were going to be strongly tied into Doug's experience in the West Coast and his strong belief and conviction in those core principles that he kind of grew up under as a player and as a coach. And then I thought what Doug did so well was he allowed input from the rest of the staff, and we all made our contributions to help develop it into hence the word hybrid. With some little nuances, he hired a really good staff, and then he utilized the offensive staff to really build a good offensive system.
Frank, it's only been 2 games, obviously, but has there been a call or a moment or a decision where you made it and you wouldn't have made that decision if you didn't work here with Doug and in Philly?
Not in the first 2 regular season games. We haven't had one of those moments. A critical going for it on 4th down or something like that. There were a few calls in preseason. Although the games don't mean much, where we certainly went for it on 4th down without flinching. Going, without even thinking about it. Probably because of my time there.
Frank, if the Eagles get the ball around the 50-yard line, if they have a 4th and 1, do you think Doug will extend any kind of professional courtesy to you?
No, I don't. I think Doug has one thing on his mind, and that's, how to win this game. And it's the same thing we have on our mind.
Frank, I know you and Bill Polian are very good friends. I know he talked to you before you took the job, said go in with your eyes wide open, that this is a rebuild situation. Is that the approach you took when you accepted it?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I know that's, Bill is like a football father to me, but, when you're a coach, you can't, rebuild is not in your vocabulary. And it's not in your thinking. You're thinking win. We got the players here to win now, and that's the only thing that enters my mind.
Hey Frank, when you have a quarterback like Carson, who is very vocal about what he likes, and I know is seeing game at a higher level, how do you, what's the process like mechanically to make sure that his input, is included in the game plan? And how do you sort through all that?
The good thing about Carson, he's not only opinionated, but he's very mature. So. But he also has, and you love this about him. But he has a stubborn. So he's going to voice his opinion. Doug's gonna at the end of the day make the decision he wants. And but together you work through it. And I think Doug and Carson have done a great job of that. And both had the mature perspective to find a way to get to what they really wanted to have in the plan for Sunday when they go out there and line up.
Hey, Frank, from watching the game film so far, what have you noticed about the Eagles' offense? What do you think they're missing in terms of their inconsistencies?
I haven't, I've just glanced at their film. I'm more studying the defense and worried about that defensive, as far as game planning goes. I'm really focused on the other side of the ball. So, I think there's the little bit that I've seen, the guys are doing their thing. It's the NFL, man. It's not, you want to think that you're going to go down the field every time you line up and score 30 every time, but it doesn't always happen. So I think they're still, still got the guys still strong up front, and that's what they're going to build around.
Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Frank.